Well, today is Monday. It's the start of another week. I'm going to do some stitching on Astrology Cat. This is the Heaven and Earth Design stitch along, and I really want to get some stitches into this. I hope everybody's doing well today and you all had a good weekend. Oh, my weekend was interesting. I had lots and lots to do. I'll talk a little bit about stuff that I'm doing. But yesterday I came down with a bit of a sore throat and a bit of a sore head, and yeah, you know the story. And I didn't feel so good, so I kind of quit in the middle of the day, as you do. And I don't feel worse, but I don't feel hugely better. So it feels like one of those things that is kind of middle ground. So you don't feel like it's going anywhere. Like you're kind of stuck in limbo for a while. But hey, I think that's probably preferable to actually getting worse, which I don't want to do. So I guess I'm just going to ride it out and wait and see. It's probably just a mild viral thing, considering the changing season and starting to feel the chill in the air and everything. So yeah, we'll see how things go. Oops, I think I'm down the wrong chute. Oh, I'm just gonna redo this stitch. So Astrology Cat, yeah, it has been the bane of my stitching life for the past year. I started off really well, and then somewhere, I don't know, around March or April, the enthusiasm kind of drifted away. And I think that happened for a lot of people, actually. I don't know the exact reason or cause. I think everybody just kind of moves on a bit after a while. But I kind of lost the love for it as well, a little bit. But anyway, I definitely want to get the 4th page done so that I can pick up the rest of the free charts that are offered. And I think that's really my only expectation. I'm not going to hurry and try and finish it or anything, because I won't enjoy actually doing it if I try to hurry and finish it. So I'm just going to go a decentish pace and try and get the 4 pages done. And if for any reason that doesn't happen, so be it. But I'm going to give it a shot anyway. I've marked off a grid here of the actual page that I want to finish here. This is the 4th one. I've done 3 pages along the top. And I think it's possible if I just actually get it out and do it. Swap it out for the other things. So I've left a nice clear little gap here that I can fill in. So I was kind of doing row by row, and then there's lots of bunches of little colours together that are the same. So I just thought, well, you know, heck, why am I doing row by row? I can just fill in all these little colours one at a time. And it'll probably be just that little bit faster than usual. So I don't always snake. It does depend on what the symbols are like. Not the stitching, what the symbols are like. Because they can sometimes predict they can kind of guide you as to the best way to stitch something. I do apologise if I sound a bit nasally and hoarse. It's just that's the way it is for me at the moment. And I really wanted to come on yesterday and do a bit of stitching with you, but unfortunately, yeah, I was in a bit of a worse state than I am now, so that wasn't going to happen. But since I'm going to stitch anyway, right, I decided I was going to sit down and stitch anyway. I thought I might as well switch on the camera and have a chat to the best of my ability anyway. So I think it's only been a week since my last video. It hasn't even been that long. It feels longer in some ways. I don't know why. I thought it would feel like it had gone by really fast, considering that I'd opened my Etsy shop last week, beginning of last week, and I had been so busy with that, trying to organize, because the sales came in pretty quickly, I have to say. And I was absolutely thrilled with that, because you always expect that for nothing, absolutely nothing to happen for months, weeks and months. And then all of a sudden I got some really good sales. And that kind of, I kind of stood to attention. I thought, oh my God, I better get this show on the road. Get your envelopes, get your packaging, get your sellotape, get this, get that. Because I really had things prepared, but I didn't know how prepared to be. Like if it was just, like if I was going to be over prepared and, sit there with tons of packaging and nothing happening. Or was I going to be, you just never know which way it's going to go. It's quite an eye-opening experience. And yes, I was quite happy to say that I managed to survive the week without too much fuss. Although I did on the first few packages I sent out. This is the thing: when you buy your postage, when you're selling on Etsy and you buy your postage stamps or whatever you want to call them, you can do it in various ways. And I think the easiest way is to go online and get your prepaid label. But when you go online and get your prepaid label, obviously you have to fill out the form which says what does your package weigh, what are the dimensions of the package, blah, blah, blah. Now, obviously, Needleminders, they hardly weigh anything at all. So I wasn't thinking, it doesn't come to too much at the end of the day, because Needleminders are small, they're pretty much weightless. But they do kind of stick out a bit in an ordinary sort of smallish envelope with a little bit of bubble wrap inside. So it's not going to be completely flat. So it was hard to measure the kind of width. So I guesstimated about 1/2 centimetre because of the little magnet tip at the back, the magnet backing would stick up a little bit. So I thought, okay, 1/2 centimetre is fine. And I got the package, I measured the width and the length of the envelope, blah, blah, blah. And I stuck it into I stuck the prepaid label on. They come to collect them, actually, which is great, because that if they come to collect them, you can not have to worry about things kind of getting lost when you've just posted them, that they might sit in a postal box somewhere. But anyway, the postman comes up right to my door and collects the packages, which is fine. And he took them, and I thought, great. Then I realized after a while, I was thinking, is this really 1/2 centimetre thick? So I went back onto the website, because I was, putting in multiple Needleminders in one envelope. Instead of maybe just one, I was putting 3 and 4. So they were sticking up quite a bit. However, I was just going by what it was charging me on the website. And then I looked again and it said, oh no, you have to pay a little bit more, because it's not actually 1/2 centimetre, it's 1 centimetre. So I was literally 1/2 centimetre out, which, would you believe, would have been an extra, I don't know, £1, something like $1.50. And I was then really, really like, oh my God, I sent all these out and now I don't know what's going to happen. But it was fine, because I just said to people, quite honestly, look, I think I've slightly miscalculated. The postman scanned and took them. I didn't think there was anything wrong. And then I actually went to the postal office and said, can you just check this for me? Because I'm not sure that the dimensions that I have input are 100% correct. And she said, I think you're safer putting, slightly extra on top of that, because of the way the magnets are poking out. Like, it is they're so particular about stuff. But the weight was, it hardly weighs a thing. So I think I probably just got away with it. But anyway, I was so pleased that it all went well, because the last thing you need is for things to go wrong on the outset, right? It's the last thing you need. I don't want to just continue stitching here and not realizing what I'm doing. Just keep chatting. So that was all well and good. And yeah, so it's been a bit of a crazy week in that sense, trying to do everything right. And I think maybe that's what's caused me to feel a little bit, like I've come out the other side feeling a bit rough. But that's okay, because as long as I don't get too sick that I can't lift my head. I kind of hate it when I get that sick that I can barely breathe, I just want to lie down and sleep. But yeah, apart from having a bit of an itch at the back of my nose and my throat keeps tickling. And I'd really love to be able to reach my drink right now, but I don't think I can. Okay, I just had to reach out for my drink there, so sorry about that, guys. Yeah, anyway, what else to tell you about this week? Okay, so in my Discord group, we were talking about, actually, no, prior to that, I was speaking to lovely floss tuber Lydia's Leisurely Stitching, who I mentioned last month, and I will put a link down again to her channel. She is doing the most beautiful full coverage charts. She's working on A Place of Her Own. Is it James Christensen? I think Christensen is the artist, and it's a beautiful chart. She's almost finished that one, and then she's going to start one called Once Upon a Fairy Tale by Jenna della Grottaglia. This is another full coverage, and I'm going to put a picture up here for you to see what that one looks like. And she asked me if I was interested in starting it, and first of all I thought no, I can't start a new one. But actually, because I told her that I have actually got it in my stash. I'd bought this chart a while ago. And my first thought was to say no, because obviously I'm a bit, pressed with the ones I have. However, I thought, you know what, I'd really like to try, and I've been thinking about that for a while. I wanted to try working on 28 count, because I haven't really tried it properly. And before I could even slap myself, I said, yeah, sure, I'll start. So then, before I could, dissuade myself, is that the word? Dissuade? I was onto the website, buying a fabric and getting threads. And then I mentioned it in my community channel. And then some of the ladies in there are doing fancy, because the chart obviously has got lady in a fancy dress. There's other stitchers doing ladies in fancy dress, or they wanted to start one lady with a fancy dress. So now we're all doing, they're not doing the same one as me, but they're doing ladies in fancy dresses. So that was quite interesting. And so Lydia then also said to me, oh, there's another floss tuber called Carla, coincidentally, Carla with a K, because I'm Carla with a C. And she has a floss tube channel. And again, I'm going to link it down below so you can go and check it out. She's doing some beautiful charts. Again, her full coverage, wow. And she's actually started Once Upon a Fairy Tale. I haven't seen her progress yet. I'm dying to see it. And so it's going to be me, Carla, Lydia doing Once Upon a Fairy Tale. And then it's going to be, I think, actually, because I'm not sure if Lydia's actually intending to start it soon. I think she wasn't sure when she was going to start it. I have everything that I need for this, to do this chart. So I think I'm ready to go. So I may just go ahead and start it and see what I think about 28 count. Oh gosh, I need to blow my nose. Just a sec. Yeah, so, dear me. I've definitely got the sniffles. So I've definitely got everything I need to start this chart. So I think I'm going to go and do some stitching on it soon, I think. Yeah, so I just, before I could even stop myself, but it's fine because when I finish doing this page, I'm not intending to do any more on this chart this year, so I can work on the other one. I've managed to achieve my goals on all the other charts that I have, that I set goals on, which is get Sad Fairy to 50%, which I did, get Riverwalk Charm to 50%, which I did, and Happy Village, I've cropped the chart literally in half. So it's half a chart now because I'm not going to do the full whack, I've decided, because I just don't want to have such a huge chart. And with Once Upon a Fairy Tale, the reason I've decided to do it in 28 count is because, and I'll give you the statistics, it's actually 625 by 729 stitches. That is huge. It is huge. But doing it on 28 count instead of my usual 25, it will be a respectable 22 inches by 26 instead of 25 by 29 on 25 count. So I have cropped off 3 inches either way, either side, if I do it on 28 count. So I'm intending to do it that way. Now, yeah, so we'll see how that goes. I'm not sure. I mean, I can't tell you yet exactly what's, how I'm going to get on with it, but I think it's going to be fine. I do, because 25 and 28, not a huge amount of difference. And I think when I tried a sample of 28 before, I found it very similar to 25. The only reason I used 25 is because I wanted to do 10 stitch. But I think on 28 count, 1/1, okay, it's going to be a bit longer than 10, but who cares? As long as I enjoy the actual process of it, I'm not bothered. So we'll see how it goes. We'll just see how it goes. Sort of excited. I think everyone's kind of excited to start something. It's always exciting, isn't it? Start something new. Anyway, so that's the other bit of news I have. I don't really have much else in terms of stitching news. I sort of haven't done much stitching at all in the last week because of the orders I was getting in. And obviously that comes first. I'm not just going to sit and stitch and not process my orders. So I couldn't do, by the time it came to the evening, I was too whacked. I was way too tired to start stitching. Maybe I'd done a couple of the nights, I'd done a little bit, but I hadn't done a huge amount. So this is 22 count, if I haven't mentioned hardanger. For some reason, I've sort of gone off it a little bit. I really, really loved hardanger for the full coverage, but then I just didn't like it. And I started a chart last year on hardanger and I just couldn't get on with it. And then it got a huge tear up the left side and it was so close to where I'd stitched. I thought I can't continue with this, so I put it away. And if I ever start that chart again, it's going to be on even weave because I can only really trust the even weave for the full coverage, to be honest. Now, where am I going? I'm completely lost now. Did I do those stitches there? I don't know. I'm down here. 1, 2, just bear with me a second, please, because I got to find out where I am and what I've done and what I haven't done. Okay. On these ones here. Gosh, it's so easy to get lost. No, I haven't done this bit down here. 1, 2 down. So this is the only thing about when you do a little bit of, when you're not doing rows, if you're not paying attention, you forget where you're stitching. And a couple of times, this is funny because I can't remember if it was the last time I was stitching or the one before, but I was actually stitching the wrong chart. So I'd opened a chart on my pattern keeper, and I'd got up to do some housework or something, and I'd sat down, and I didn't realize that what was on my stand wasn't what was on my screen. So I'd had what was on the screen zoomed in. So I literally just started stitching in that square. And for the first bit, it was fine because I had the same threads. The threads were coming out of my box that were needed. So even though I was doing I had a different box of threads and a different chart on my stand. And then suddenly I was missing a 610, and I thought, where's the 610? This is driving me crazy. So I had to go and find 610 and bring it back. And then I stitched a few stitches, and then all of a sudden I was missing another colour. And I thought, why are so many colours missing? Well, obviously it was the wrong box I was using. It took me a while for the penny to drop, but I was going a bit crazy thinking, somebody's stealing my bobbins now. And then I thought, oh my God, you're such an idiot. Stitching nearly a whole 10 by 10 square with the wrong box of colours. And it was all wrong because it wasn't what was meant to be there. So, but, coincidentally, the colours were similar. So it didn't really stand out. But I felt so stupid. I was glad nobody was watching. But I don't mind telling you, though. I don't mind. You can laugh at me. I'm always laughing at myself, so you have permission to laugh at me. So that's one of the stupid things that can happen to stitchers. And I think somebody else said they'd done something similar. I'm not sure if it was the exact same thing or not, but yeah, it's quite funny when that happens. So I forgot what point I was going to make now before I said that. Oh dear. So the only thing about working on 28 count that I'm worried about is that I'm going to forget that I'm doing full crosses, and I'll start doing a few half crosses, half stitches, and then I think, oh God, I didn't. And because they're so tiny, it's hard to even see them. I don't want to, forget that I'm doing. Because sometimes what I have done is I've put 2 threads, say, on this needle, on this chart, because I've forgotten that I'm only using 1 thread. And then I realise it pretty quickly. But it is frustrating. Okay. Still not counting correctly. So 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. I've done that. No, I haven't done that. Goodness me, I'm getting in a twist with these colours. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Yeah, I'm just going to keep going here. This one's getting in my way. So what has everybody else been working on? Anything new, anything interesting happening in your corner of the world? I'm going to be going away for a little while next month to visit family. So I'm not trying to set any goals before I go or try to get anything in particular finished or done. I'm pretty much going to take it easy. I'm going to work on, just a second, 1, 2, 3, yeah, that's okay. I'm going to work on the new one for a while because it's a novelty, and then I'm going to maybe do, try to make this one a bit of a focus before I go. Because if I can get this page finished quickly, then it's going to be out of my hair this year. And I can concentrate on other stuff, or I can enjoy some other stuff. So this one might be coming out, if not every day, every other day until the end of the year. Because I think like that I can get it done and dusted and not worry about it, because I'm not aiming for the full thing. I think that's it. I'm not setting any goals. I've said I'm not setting any goals. So I'm happy with where I'm at. I'm just going to take it easy and work on whichever one I fancy for the rest of this year. That's basically giving myself a nice big, window of do what you like and enjoy it. That's really what it boils down to. I don't know what's going to happen next year, because next year's not arriving yet. So I tend to gravitate towards charts with the autumnal colors when we get to this time of year, just because of the season that it is. Something tells me I'm counting wrong, but I've counted this multiple times and don't feel like I am counting this wrong. I've missed a stitch here. So I sort of gravitate towards autumnal colours, and so that means basically Riverwalk charm stuff. And when Christmas comes, I think, I can't remember if I set any goals previously. If I have, I've forgotten them by now. But I had been intending to do A Christmas Carol, I think it's by Dean Morrissey. I'm going to put a picture up again for you to see that one. And I think I put a couple of stitches into that one already. So that was already going to be 25 cap, my usual 2/1 tent. I think I'm going to work that as a Christmas piece only, or just an as and when the mood strikes. I may put some stitches into that one in December, but I'm going for Riverwalk charm, I think. Yeah, I'm going to try and get the top right corner of that a little bit more done on there, because there's another tree there which I keep putting off a bit, because there's a lot of tree in that chart, and as much as I love trees, I don't like being stuck in the tree forever. So yeah, sometimes I subconsciously avoid something without actually admitting that I'm avoiding something. But to be fair, I've actually done quite a lot of work on it, even recently, and sometimes you just need a little bit of a break from things. You need to put it away so that it comes back a bit fresh, because when you continue on something on and you don't get a break from it, you start to actually dislike it. I'm not kidding. You just get like weary of seeing the same thing. And I think that's one of the issues of, why people, sorry, I think I bumped the camera. One of the issues why people, I'm never going to be able to rethread this now. I'm just going to cut it. I've got the camera so close that it's almost impossible to not touch the camera. Let's go for this one here. So I'm going to have a quiet afternoon, I think, after this, and maybe do some reading, because I've got stacks of books that I want to read. I mean, literally stacks. Just to give you an example, I decided this a while back. I was going to read the whole series of Outlander. I'd seen the TV series, and obviously I enjoyed it, as did many. And I thought, I really want to read the books at some point. So I ordered the whole series of books. I think there's 6 or 7 of them. I'm still on the first one. I'm like halfway through the first one. And I've been halfway through the first one for weeks and weeks. So it's not going anywhere unless I get back to it. But there's also tons of other books that I want to be reading. And I generally do my reading in the late evening if I'm not doing the stitching. Or when I go to bed, I like to sit up and read for a little while. I think... Oh lordy, there's one stitch over the line and I've got a lovely straight line here. I'm not going to do that stitch because even though it's tempting, I'm actually sticking to a straight line because I want to be able to put forward the whole page finish without, having little stray stitches on the other side. I need to sneeze again. Excuse me. Yeah, I've definitely got a cold, definitely. And it was playing, for some reason, it's been playing havoc with my stomach as well. Because last night I felt so queasy and really off. Like I didn't want to eat anything heavy normally I don't want to eat anything heavy. I do eat quite a lot of salads and things. Just my preference. Very light meals, toast and things. I don't like to eat bulky meals. And I just felt I couldn't eat much. So I had boiled egg, toast and a cup of tea. I had peppermint tea and I felt so much better for it. And, sometimes I'll just have a little bit of cereal. Not like in my normal every single day, but just when I feel a bit off. I tend to eat really lightly. But even today I still feel a bit off, but slightly improved there. Although my nose is not feeling good. So we'll see how we go. If I'm going to get sick, it's probably better that I get sick now because I don't want to get sick just before I go away. I don't want to get on a plane sniffling and, passing germs onto other people. I wouldn't like it if other people did that. Although I've had many flights where somebody behind me has been coughing and spluttering, and it is really, really horrible to sit on a plane and be so packed in with someone who is sick and that they're just shoveling their germs all over you. It is really not nice. I don't want to be the person that does that. So, yeah, if it's going to come out, just get it done now. And, let me be when I go. And I met up with a couple of friends recently, and one of the friends that I met up with, we were talking about, we always do this when we meet up, we talk about traveling to places and going away for weekends and stuff like that. And then we kind of forget about it when we get home, but it's nice just to think about stuff like that. And she and I were saying how nice it would be just to get on a train and go away for a weekend. And I said, we should do that next year. We really should. So we're thinking about actually doing that. And I suggested one of the places that I would love to visit is the Bronte Museum. Now, the Bronte Museum used to be the home of the three Bronte sisters. Well, you know the ones I'm talking about. Wuthering Heights, Jane Eyre, the classics. And it is about a 5 hour, I think, 3 to 5 hour train journey from here. It's not actually too bad. So we were thinking about, I said to her, that's on my bucket list really, because I've been to York, but I've never been to where they live, Haworth. It's a place called Haworth, and that's where the Bronte Museum is. So it's literally their house had been turned now into a sort of museum. So you can go inside, and another friend of mine visited this place a couple of years ago, and she sent me photographs of her visit. And she sent me photographs of all the rooms where the Bronte sisters, so here's a little bit of a history thing for you, where the Bronte sisters would write their novels. So they would all gather together at a sort of dining table in front of the fire, in front of the bookshelves. That's where they would write their stories, you know, with the wind blowing on the moors outside. It just sounds like such a, you know, an ideal fantasy. And there was also Branwell, who was their brother, who was a very troubled soul. And I don't know if it was an alcohol addiction or of an overdose, because he was, sort of addicted to drugs and drank a lot. He had an affair with a married woman, and he never really recovered from the backlash of having that affair. And he always aspired to be, he was very ambitious, and he had many ideas of grandeur and greatness, but he never really was able to pull it off. He was a very troubled soul. So he unfortunately succumbed to his own addictions and his own torment, basically. So there is a bedroom in that museum that belonged to Branwell, and a lot of his belongings are still there. Still doesn't quite feel like it, you know, these things actually happened, that they're that real. And so, you know, just for the novelty, I like to see the home and the cemetery just outside the home and the church and their rooms. I'm just really into stuff like that. That's what I like to do. When I went to the castles, when I visited the castles here and the palace, and I love living like 20 minutes from the palace where Mary Queen of Scots lived. I get this sort of fancy in my head about being locked in there. Like, not that I actually want it to happen, because I'm quite squeamish, but quite scared. But had this fancy of being locked into her chambers and then coming out at night. You know, I'm sure there must be, you cannot spend a night in such a troubled place where so much happened and not hear something or see something, even if it's hallucinations, you know, of what happened in the past. I mean, Mary Queen of Scots had a gun held to her stomach when she was 8 months pregnant in her chambers. Her secretary was stabbed to death in front of her. And how could you stay in a dark room in a palace or a castle and not hear or see something? And I love reading about the ghost stories, about especially the one of Catherine Howard, King Henry VIII's one of his wives. She was young, 19, and he'd sentenced her to death. And when she heard about this, she went running through the corridor screaming for him, pounding at the door where he was in a chapel praying, and she was pounding at the door begging for mercy, which she never got. And that particular corridor is said to be haunted by her ghost, screaming along the corridor, begging Henry to have mercy upon her. So just imagine being stuck in there all night and on your own in a dark place like that. You would be hearing stuff. See, I nearly went to go stitching up here when I'm actually stitching down here. So even though I like the idea of that, I don't think in reality it would be my thing. I would probably have a heart attack. I would hide under a bed, put my fingers in my ears, and not want to open my eyes at all. As much as I love the whole, you know, idea of reading about this in a book, I think if I was actually there in a huge place on my own like that, with the wind howling outside the window, maybe there's even a storm outside, it's all dark and creepy, and the wooden floors are creaking. Can you imagine? You wouldn't even want to look up, would you? You wouldn't even want to look and see anything. I just can't imagine how there isn't like spiritual spirits there and stuff like that. Anyway, it's just something interesting, I find. If I haven't made a mistake in here by now, I would be very surprised with all my yakking away. Okay, come on. Let's just try and finish this little thread here. Ooh. Well, it looks like it's a promising day today. I'm looking out the window and the sky is blue. Yep. So unfortunately, I don't think I feel well enough to go out and about. I think my eyes are going to start streaming once I'm finished here. So for me, it's going to be not exactly a bed day, but a sit back and relax day. I don't think I've got a choice. Maybe I could rewatch the series about the Bronte sisters that was on, I think it was on the BBC iPlayer. You can still watch it. Maybe. Or I could catch up with some of my reading. Or I could try and do some more of this Astrology Cat I want to get done. So my next stitch with me, my next video, let's see, where are we? If I manage to get some stitches done on the 28 count, if I'm able to see it, if I'm able to do a stitch with me and actually see that chart without straining my eyes, if I'm able to see it whilst I'm recording, I mean, because I know I'm going to be able to see it when I'm normally stitching. I've got a big overhead light, which is great. But am I able to see it and stitch and chat at the same time is another question. I'm not sure that's possible. But if it's not possible, I might just come on and talk about my progress with it anyway, even if I don't actually put some stitches in. Oops. Because not every video has to be an hour long. I mean, I can come on with a project and talk a little bit about it, and the progress and how I'm getting on. It doesn't have to be actual stitching, but then that means that sort of requires more of a watching rather than a just listening. So yeah, but hey, I think maybe variety is good. Doing different things about different things is better than just sticking to one thing, the same thing all the time. I don't know, just go with the flow. If there's anything in particular you want to see, you can let me know. I know people have got different preferences with charts and stuff like that. But yeah, I just thought I could come on and talk about how I found stitching 1/1 and 28. Okay, so far so good. And then there's one little stitch down here. So it's actually quite easy to stitch on this 22, but unfortunately the threads do slip and slide under the weave quite a bit. So if you intend to use this fabric, I think you'll have to be very careful. Okay, how am I going to cut this without bumping the camera? Okay, that's pretty good. That's pretty good. That's 78 stitches in the time that I've been sitting here. I think that's pretty good. So folks, it's not actually going to be that long before I get... See, I think this line here is the end of the page, and then further down it still needs a bit of stitching. Yeah. But even if I get to just this line, sorry, this line, even if I get to just this line, I will have achieved my goal. But I never just think, oh, I'll stop there. I may as well just go to the bottom and get it done. Actually, it stops down here. That's the end of where the stitching is. So it's the whole block plus a bit. So I think I'm going to, at the very least, I have to reach this point, if nothing else. And then we are good. We are good for getting the little prize, which is what I really want. I say that, I don't even, like at the moment, I don't even really care about stitching any of the charts that I get for free. But it's just the thing about, you know, completing something that I set out to do and having the novelty of having the charts. Because I don't know, maybe 5 years' time I fancy doing a mushroom. Oh wait, I got those mushroom charts from the HAED SAL 5 years ago. And there, I'll have it. I won't have to go looking for one. Because I did like a few of the mushroom ones. I liked the fox as well. There's a few of them I did actually like. But yeah, I sort of got into full coverage now quite a lot. I think I call myself a full coverage stitcher, no question, because I don't seem to do very well with anything that isn't full coverage, but we'll see how we go. Anyway, thank you so much for spending this hour with me, and I apologize again for my croaky, crackling voice. I was saving this voice for Halloween, but I thought I'd give you a preview. Anyway, guys, I look forward to coming back again and chatting with you very soon. So now I'm going to go finish my drink. Thank you so much for joining me, and let me know what you're up to, and I'll catch you again soon. Bye for now.